Okay, hello everyone again. This is
Hi.
Tiara and Anne-Kathrin. And we're here to talk today about relationships as a highly sensitive person. So how to be happy in a relationship as a highly sensitive person, I think, is a topic that a lot of highly sensitive people care about, because it does seem like being so sensitive can sometimes bring up certain challenges in a close relationship with someone, whether you're living together, whether even if it's like a best friend of yours, or romantic relationship, like any type of close relationship where there's, a lot of emotions and different things you kind of deal with day in and day out. And the cool, unique perspective that we have as sort of like a team talking about this topic is that I can speak to being in a relationship as a highly sensitive person with someone who is not highly sensitive, and Anne-Kathrin can speak to being a highly sensitive person in a relationship with someone who is also a highly sensitive person.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I'm actually so excited to talk about this. And I think it's going to be so relevant for our viewers from both perspectives. So, yeah, maybe I can start to just talk about what the dynamic in my relationship is. So I'm highly sensitive, obviously. And also my partner, Rini, is highly sensitive. And a highly sensitive male, of course. So that's also a really different dynamic. But the nice thing when you're in a relationship with another highly sensitive person is that you understand why you need to recharge. You understand the downtime, and it's just this mutual understanding, and you don't have to explain yourself all the time. You just have to look at each other, and you know exactly what's going on. If you're like in a busy crowd, you just look at each other and you know, okay, this is just not nice. And yeah, that's one of the really nice things, that you don't have to explain a lot. But one of the challenging parts of being in a relationship with a highly sensitive person is that sometimes both of you can feel all the feels. Like you can be stuck in your own emotions, and then the other person takes over those feels as well, and it just becomes this big ball of emotion.
Energy transference, like back and forth.
It's just like in the air at your home, and you really have to be careful with not taking over the emotions from your partner. And of course, my partner is much better at not showing it, but I still feel it. And that's the thing with being in a relationship with a highly sensitive male, that sometimes this really can be challenging, because you feel what's going on, but they're just feeling it for themselves. And yeah, maybe you can relate to that as well.
I was going to say, it's I think this is an interesting topic for so many reasons, but specifically for that one, is it's like the differences between a male highly sensitive person and a female highly sensitive person compared to, male and female non-highly sensitive person. If there's, what the differences are, what the similarities are, because I was going to say that happens in my relationship too, where it's like, you pick up on other people's stuff, and that the male tends to be the one that hides their emotions more, but that's just also just social conditioning, I think.
Yeah.
But to sort of follow along in the same like structure as you just explained, like the benefits and the challenges, I'll just speak a little bit quickly onto the dynamic, like the non-HSP HSP dynamic. That I think a lot of the benefits are that we really learn a lot from each other, and we help sort of balance the other one out. And there are times when like there's something that I don't want to do that he's willing to do, like that we have different strengths that we can kind of utilize in each other, which is really nice. But then there's also, of course, times, especially in the beginning, I would say, of our relationship, where it was challenging because he didn't always understand like what it meant to be highly sensitive. And actually, as time has gone on and I've learned more about the trait, it's helpful because then I can sort of relay those things, that knowledge, to him to help him understand me better. But the funny thing is that a lot of the times, actually, like he already knew those things. There just wasn't like a word or a conversation around it, because we already knew each other so well. So there definitely would be times where I would go explain something to him and he's like, I already know that about you. But there's still this need as a highly sensitive person to feel like deeply understood. And that's sometimes like I've had to sort of be okay with the fact that there are going to be times where he doesn't completely understand. And that's the case, I think, for anybody, like highly sensitive or not. There are going to be times when someone is just not going to completely understand you. And it's probably impossible for two people to completely understand each other, even if you both are highly sensitive. But I think it's probably a little bit more likely that there'd be a little bit of your time understanding if you're both highly sensitive. True. But so obviously there are benefits and challenges to both.
And what you're saying with this understanding, what the other person is feeling. That's like one of the major benefits of being in a HSP relationship, because you
Right.
don't have to explain, and you simply just you understand. And if you don't want to go on that vacation trip, which is really loud and busy and long, and then the other part just understands because they feel the same way, you know, and that's really a benefit. However, one of the big challenges of this really mutual understanding of each other is that you sometimes do not challenge each other, you know, because you understand so much where you're both coming from, and you're so comfortable together in your little comfort zone. You don't really challenge the other to go much out of that comfort zone, because you both just feel comfortable
Right.
right where you are. And I think that's if you are more high sensation seeking, I am that, so I try sometimes to pull us out of the comfort zone, but not that much. But I think if you're in a relationship with a non-highly sensitive person, you get pulled more out of your comfort zone every now and then, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, you know.
Right. It
And
helps you grow and adapt a little bit and have like coping skills. It's funny because I was just thinking that like, so we tend to get into a sort of a rut because we're both introverted. So even though he's not highly sensitive, because we're both introverted, we tend to be like homebodies, and we like want to go out and hang out because all of his friends and family are in the city, and we're like 45 minutes. It takes like
yeah,
effort to go into the city, and then it's the city craziness. So it's like kind of funny. I think in your situation, you said you're extroverted, right? And he's introverted.
yeah. But the thing is, because I'm highly sensitive and Rini also is highly sensitive, we both sometimes, especially with big life decisions, we are both more hesitant, because one of the traits of highly sensitive people is that they fear change. And some changes are major, like moving, selling your house, what we're doing now, getting married, having kids, that are like really major decisions. And if you're both like getting almost a panic attack from all those major changes, then sometimes that can be challenging, you know, because you really have to get it together and just go for it together. But yeah, it might take, at least for us.
Like, oh, I was just gonna say it's interesting that you point that out, because I almost feel like with Matt and I, it's kind of the opposite, and not because like this might have nothing to do with the highly sensitive trait in our situation, because I'm more type A and he's more like type B. So I tend to be the one that's like ready to jump in and make a decision and take action and like move us forward, whereas he's more laid back and sort of like lets me be like the the
Yeah,
like, you know,
yeah,
leader.
but that's the thing. And like we're together for like 5 years now, and we're taking everything really slow. We know for sure we want to commit on everything, and we're getting married and we're selling a house now, but we know some people who did all those steps within 2 years, and we just couldn't get ourselves to move that quick, you know. We just needed time to progress everything that's happening around us. And I think that's one of the things that highly sensitive people do, to really just progress and give yourself time to feel everything and tune into your intuition and really take it slow. And
I think that's a good advice for any relationship.
yeah, I think it is good advice, but I think sometimes I experience it as a pitfall, because there are some things that we could be moving faster and we just are too scared to do so, you know. Like now like we have this dream home ahead of us, and we're just too worried that things won't work out our way. And that's like one of those things where fear is leading us, because we're both really in that fear state from nature. So it's really challenging to get past that. If one of us wasn't like that, would just be like, yeah, let's go for it, yeah, we can do it, and yeah, not be that scared. So that's one of the things that I think
because it is like there's a biological like purpose for highly sensitive people, is to be like the pause and check members of society.
Yeah, and we both pause and check all the time.
Yeah, but I think that like where highly sensitive people can actually have that as a disadvantage, like you're saying, I actually think that in some ways we are more equipped, if depending on your perspective, to have a more successful relationship because we're careful.
Yeah, I think so too.
Kind of thinking like anticipating maybe what the other person would think or say or feel, or, you know, taking time to think about how we want to respond and not responding like immediately. Like there's definitely some challenges and benefits, like everything we talk about, of being highly sensitive in a relationship, because in some ways taking that pause and check time can actually be really helpful and make sure you're making the right decisions going forward. And,
yeah, sure.
It's like keeping it in balance. There's like a nice little middle ground.
It's the sweet spot, which you just need to find. And I think, it's just a big search, and you can't really give a formula for exactly this is where this sweet spot is. You just have to find your way, learn to communicate with each other, accept each other for who you are, and just try to have
understand or not.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably our biggest tip for how to be happy as a highly sensitive person in a relationship, or any relationship really, is just communication. So like, if you're highly sensitive and highly sensitive, or you're not highly sensitive and highly sensitive, it's like you have to communicate where your boundaries are, where your limits are, what you're willing to do, what you're not willing to do in terms of like socialization events or whatever. And just have that open conversation, either way, just so everyone's on the same page. Everyone knows, what your limits are, what you're comfortable with, and like what your goals are, all of those things.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that's a good wrap up. And I'm just so curious to hear what kind of.
Can I add one more thing that I think is important? No, I was going to say, I think the way that you do communication really well and have that be effective is knowing yourself well. Like I would say self-awareness, especially as a highly sensitive person, so that you can communicate what your needs are. Because if you don't know where those things are, like where your levels and your limits are in terms of being a highly sensitive person and what you need, then it's hard to communicate them. Like if you don't know your needs, it's hard to communicate
in order to communicate. Yeah, that's true. You really need to be aware of yourself. And that's where it starts. It starts with you, and then you can communicate it to your partner and live happily ever after. Anyways, so this is a wrap up about what we try to talk about in relation to our relationships, and we're really curious to hear what relationship dynamic you find yourself in at the moment. Please tell us in the comments. Are you in a HSP, HSS relationship, or HSP, non-HSP? Just let us know and explain to us what you're struggling with, and maybe we can help. So we hope to hear from you. Thank you.
It also would be interesting to see if anyone's in like a same sex highly sensitive, like 2 female highly sensitive people or 2 male highly sensitive people. I think would be really interesting.
Oh yeah, definitely. If you are
different gender roles, is like, I'm still so curious to see what that's, because we only have our situation to speak about, you know what I mean?
True. So, I totally agree. I will be
we'll probably do a lot of other videos on this topic.
Yeah, definitely. So be prepared. We're going to talk a lot about relationships, and we can't wait to share all our insights with you. And thank you so much for watching, and see you again next time. Bye-bye.
Yay!
He said, no, it's not funny. Don't laugh about me. However, one of the challenges of, wait 1 second. I was just so distracted by the noise.
Oh my God, my mind just went completely blank.
So you said, I think. Okay. So, okay.